Welcome to Brake Check. I'm your host, Brian, and what are you doing?
Have you seen this paint?
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
I'm trying to see it at all the angles, it changes.
It bothers me that it matches your shirt so well, but it is one of my favorite colors, favorite reds on the market right now, hands down.
I'm Craig, and this is the 2021 Mazdaspeed 3 all-wheel drive turbo.
No, it's not.
What?
There's no speed in this Mazda.
It's not a Mazdaspeed, but it's a turbo.
No, it's a turbo.
But it's a hot hatch because it's got the chin spoiler front, and it's got the stop sign, and it's got a rear spoiler and black wheels.
No, it doesn't mean anything.
That's not what it doesn't mean.
It's false advertising.
So it's not a hot hatch.
It's not a hot hatch.
Well, what is this?
It's a really nice car.
Oh, okay. Well, let's find out.
Exterior, Craig, what do you think?
I think it's an award-winning design.
2020 World Car Design Award.
Heck yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So Mazda, this is the continuation of the Kodo design.
Yep.
Kodo is springing into motion. So everything's in the rear, like an animal getting ready to pounce.
Well, and you can see that, right? So you've got a point by the headlights, and you see it taper up the back. Is that where you were going with that? Exactly. Yeah.
One of the neatest elements to me, my favorite element, is in the middle of the door, how it kind of goes in and comes out. Almost looks like a dent in some angles, doesn't it?
It concaves and convexes in the same panel.
That's a sleek move.
Out and then in.
I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So I do like that. What I like about the Kodo design compared to the previous designers, they were trying to do the wind and water and all this, and you had all these things on the side.
It just ended up smiling and looking a little weird.
Well, it looked the worst. Remember in the Mazda 5, it actually had the things down the side of it.
Terrible.
It was terrible. I'm glad they got away from that and went to this Kodo design.
Yeah.
I think it looks cool.
That's improved for sure. I will say this is a car that online, when it came out, I thought, probably not for me. And I saw it in person and went, that's better than I thought.
So let me ask you this. We joked about it earlier, but in all seriousness, the front spoiler or chin spoiler, the rear spoiler, the black mirrors, the black wheels, make it look hot hatchy.
It does. And
the reason you don't like that is because
I've had a real problem with that, and I really want to hit on that in dynamics.
Okay.
But I feel like it's misleading. Its appearances are misleading because as a car person and car journalist, we expect certain things from hot hatches, and this car is leaving me wanting in a lot of ways. But it excels in the other direction, which Mazda's not made any jokes about. They've said, we're going to make a quieter, better, more refined car. They've done that.
And they've done that.
But they've left a lot on the table for performance, and we'll talk about that when we get inside.
Absolutely. Let's get into the interior.
Got it. While this car has triggered me, Craig, in many ways, this is not one of them. It's a nice thing to spend time in.
It is.
And what I keep getting back to is everything you touch and feel feels really nice. And I would now recommend this car to people I wouldn't have previously.
And what do you mean by that?
I mean that they have made this a more refined experience. And I feel like those that were looking at Audi a few years ago need to be looking here now.
Wow.
Because it's that nice in here.
Okay.
The design language is similar to the CX-9. We had a long review in that, so if you want more details, you can check there as well.
Yeah, they're doing the same design language in all their cars now as the
cluster's the same, the sport mode's down here. You've got the infotainment wheel, which you love. I'm not crazy about because I feel like it's a good bit of tech, but I wish they would just let the screen be a touchscreen as well, so you could kind of...
Yeah, I'm with you, and I understand that. One of the things I do like about it not being touch is because it being a non-touch screen allows them to put it farther away and back from you.
Right.
And so it's more in the driver's eye, and long term as you get used to it, once you do get used to it, I feel like it's a more intuitive thing. So I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's a little harder to pick up initially, but once you do pick it up, it's real easy. And so
once you pick it up, I
find it really convenient. I find it not stressful. You talk about technology frustrating when it doesn't work.
Right.
It just works here.
It does just work. In fact, I've never had any problem with connectivity. I've had no Bluetooth problems or Apple CarPlay.
Right.
That's been really nice, and we can't say that about all makers. So that's good job.
They've almost taken the Apple approach and simplify it. Don't make Don't make it complicated, which means it'll work.
Yeah,
and it works.
It works. What's your favorite thing about the interior?
Favorite thing about the interior has to be that every button, no matter which one you push, the click, the tactile feedback is the same.
Right.
They actually spent time, they engineered that, and it actually works, and it is wonderful.
It reminds me of a 2010 Audi I once owned. Did the same thing. These just feel new and crisp, as they should be. But you're a good point. Every click on this button is the same as that button. That's pretty nice.
And that's, a lot of cars never even think about that.
Yeah. I do have two gripes I want to hit on.
Okay.
They're not that big. The cup holder seems really far away.
True.
Which is not, and when I use it, it is so far into the HVAC controls. It's not really natural when you put a cup in there. You have to kind of like funnel it in.
Yeah, if you have a tall cup, you have to do that number.
But not a big deal, minor gripe. And two, at $35,000, I feel like there should be an option for ventilated seats.
I do wish it had that.
Kia can do that. I'm not sure why Mazda can't get that done. One more, there's a remote start option. So if I have to have an automatic, which you do in this one, give me the option for remote start.
Yeah,
nice.
Remote start and ventilated seats would be nice.
Yep.
In fact, a little surprising they're not in here.
I mean, yeah, I think the same thing. We are in Texas.
Yeah.
It's more needed here than other climates, but
to your cup holder point, I will say this though. I think one of the things they have to do is they didn't have room to go to the side of the shifter because you wouldn't have had room in this car.
Right.
And because they have their controls down here behind the shifter,
they've prioritized that.
They had to. Your cup holders would have been in the way that have been somewhere else, so they had to put them there. So I kind of get why they had to do it. It makes sense.
Again, not a deal breaker at all. Just a note. Yep.
I do like the armrest. You can adjust where to put it. I think that's really nice.
Very nice. That's a good touch.
And every touch
feels nice, right?
Soft.
Everything's soft, but consistently soft, like the buttons. The dash is just as soft as the steering wheel is.
Almost, and we'll get into it in the next segment when we do dynamics, but it's overcompensated a little bit. The previous car was almost too rough, too hard on
too noisy.
The edges were they weren't smoothed off. They weren't rounded. Your senses were assaulted a little bit more in everything. In this, they've completely fixed that.
Yep.
But I think they've almost gone too far. Let's go to dynamics.
Let's talk about it.
Thank you. Oop, there it is. Edit that out. So, Brian, I'm really excited about this because we talked about it being soft in the interior and everything's refined and all that. But now we're in dynamics mode, and before we get into anything, I want you to just punch it and show this turbo off. Whoa! Okay. It's a hot hatch. It's a good driver's car.
No, it's not.
What? That's a Mazda.
I know. That's what we know of Mazda. Mazda historically.
Wait. The previous Mazda 3 was one of the best driving cars around.
Hands down.
All the previous Mazdas have in their segment the best driving cars. Period.
Not
everybody says this car's better. This has to be a good driver's car, right? This is a good driver's car.
I'll say the car is better in terms of refinement. It is
it's a driver's
better as a driver's car. Let me give you an example, Craig.
Okay.
You and I both agree that a Kia Seltos Turbo with a DSG is more fun on the back road than this is. And that is not a driver's car.
And as a Mazda fanboy, that really hurts me, but
I know,
you're right.
It hurts you more than me. This car has been making me angry all week. And we've had a lot of downright arguments. Look, if we ever need family counseling, it's because of this car and the CX-9. They both make me feel the same way. The reasoning why, and they're not bad cars, let me be very clear about that. They're just not what I was expecting to go into them.
Okay.
And that's because Mazda in years past has always been, like you said, the most fun thing in its segment. The previous gen Mazda 3 had independent rear suspension, a good manual transmission.
The multi-link rear.
Multi-link rear, right. Yeah. This is a torsion beam.
Please explain the difference between torsion beam and multi-link.
Oh, you're waiting for this.
Yeah, you're good with the hands on that.
Okay, so a solid axle is like this.
Like this, okay.
And there's a wheel here and a wheel here. And what that means is when this wheel hits a bump, this one is affected, right?
Yeah, I'm with
it. You got that?
I'm with it, yeah.
Independent rear suspension is like this.
Okay.
Independent of each other.
Okay.
When this wheel hits a bump, this one doesn't care.
Okay.
So we've gone a little bit backwards in terms of dynamics.
Wait. So previous was a multi-link, which means it was independent.
Right.
This is a torsion beam, which means they're connected at the center, but they have
independent shocks and springs.
Yeah, okay.
But they are slightly affected by what the other one's doing.
It's not a solid axle, but it is. They're connected to each other.
Yeah, they're connected.
Okay.
What that means is that over certain bumps, the ride quality is not quite as good.
And you do feel that a little bit.
You feel a little bit, but overall the ride quality is really good. In fact, I'm going to commend it. I feel like the reason why this is not a very connected feel for the driver is it is so soft. But they know their market.
This gets back to the thing we talked about in the interior. They've refined and softened everything in the interior, and unfortunately, everything else in the car, which affects the driving aspect. That's why you say it's not a driver's car, but still a good car.
Exactly. They've numbed the experience for the driver in terms of dynamic feedback, meaning feel of the road, turn in, right? And this is a turbocharged engine. The last turbo we saw from Mazda was a Maniac. And the absolute Maniac, they went the other direction.
Right.
And so that's part of why the bar is set
also
there.
Not the most reliable turbo. This is probably a lot more reliable.
This is more reliable. They picked torque over horsepower.
They did, almost diesel-like.
Yeah, it falls off around $5,000, a little less.
Hipster score.
Oh boy.
3, 2, 1, 5.
Oh, crap.
Oh, man, what happened? Okay, well, I hate to say it, but you got the right score.
Can I tell you why I'm right?
Yeah.
This is a sensible, smaller car.
Mm-hmm.
It's not garish. It's not a hot hatch, actually, so it's not going to piss anyone off.
But it looks like one.
It looks like one. But that's really it. It doesn't get... So I started at 5.
Okay.
Kind of mid-range.
Yeah.
I didn't give it anything else.
Okay. Here's where I ended up with 5. Basically the same.
But I didn't take anything else away either.
It's a car.
Right.
That helps. It's a hatch. That helps. What keeps it from scoring like 6? Really, I feel like should score a 6 or a 7.
Because you could overland this.
But what knocks it down is 2 things. That touchscreen is not a touchscreen.
Oh, yes.
It's a non-touchscreen, and people with Apple CarPlay want to touch it.
That's true.
And the fuel mileage is not great. Like, seriously, a CX-5 or CX-9 is literally the same.
So you bring up a good point, and this is part of our off-screen debate that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
This is based on the same platform the CX-5 uses.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it drives a lot like a CX-5.
It drives a lot like a CX-5 or a CX-9.
Or CX-9. So if you
because it's the same transmission and engine.
Right. We just had the CX-9 with this exact everything powertrain underneath it. So let me ask you this, Craig. If you're going to get a car, why do you get a car over a crossover?
Well, you get a car over a crossover because it's lower to the ground, it's sportier, and you get better fuel mileage.
It's not sportier. It's not really more fuel efficient than the CX-9
So it's just lower to the ground.
Right.
So it's harder to get in and out of.
For tall guys, yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
So personally, I feel like the car is lost in the segment, but the segment is lost as well.
That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up because it's easy to get on this car for the things we've mentioned.
Right.
But really what Mazda's trying to figure out is how to still make a car that somebody wants to buy.
And that's a good point. Hit me with some figures on that.
So Mazda in its heyday, the Mazda 3, would sell 120,000 cars a year.
That's a good amount. And Mazda's a small car company.
And that's a small car. That's a lot for a small car company. Now, the Mazda 3, they sell about, well, last year they sold 30,000 something.
With all this effort, too. New design and everything else. How many CX-5s did they sell last year?
CX-5s, they sold 150,000 CX-5s, which didn't exist a few years ago.
Okay, so they went 50% more than the best that this car used to do.
Right.
Okay, so we've seen an adverse effect. So as crossovers go up, sedans come down, or hatches.
Right, and this has happened across all brands.
Across all brands. It's not exclusive to Mazda. And look, Mazda had to make a choice.
Yep.
They're not under the Ford umbrella anymore. They had to make their own chassis.
They're on their own now.
Their own powertrain. They can't change turbos for every car.
Right.
And so they had to go with the torquey one to make it work in the CX-9.
Mm-hmm. They
had to make the chassis big enough to fit the CX-9 dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be some compromise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of what bothers me, because in the past they would go, the interaction between the driver and the machine needs to be harmonious.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not feeling that anymore.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I want to leave it. I don't want to upset a bunch of fans, but the reality is it's still a wonderful car.
Yep.
And if you take off your Mazda glasses, it's really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
It's quiet, it's comfortable, it's like a Japanese Buick, but really reliable and really good.
So with that, who's this car for?
This car is for the masses that don't want to sit in a tall CX-5.
Okay.
I think that's really it.
I think this car is for someone that thinks they want a hot hatch, but they don't really want the hot hatch. So someone that thinks they want a WRX, but they get in it and like, man, this is not refined. It's a little outdated, and it's a little too much for it. It rides rough. It's not smooth.
Right.
So like, oh, I'll get this, because they don't really want a hot hatch. They like the idea of a hot hatch. That's what this car's for.
You know, this is the car you want your daughter to marry.
Oh, yep.
She wants to be with Tommy.
Yeah.
Tommy is a WRX STI.
Ooh.
The wing is garish. The blow-off sound.
May make some bad life decisions.
Vaping constantly.
May drink Monsters.
Well, that's besides the point. This is not Tommy. This is Timothy.
Oh, Timothy sounds nicer.
And Timothy has a white-collar job.
Yeah, he's responsible.
He doesn't sweat for a living.
Yeah, but he likes to have some fun. And the car looks like it's a hot hatch.
And he's reliable.
Yeah.
And he's going to be there for you.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So there you go. Marry a Mazda 3.
Okay.
Yeah, or at least date.
Start there.
Okay.
Don't jump into marriage first.
With that, thanks for watching. Yeah, listen to us for all marriage advice, relationship advice. Bright Chef Wildlife, here we go. There's the turkey. Check it out.
Finally.
Got it on camera, hopefully.
Thanks for watching.
BrightCheckShow.com.